guys, welcome to another episode of MTTV for MetalTalk. Today we have Neil from Big Mono. Hello Neil, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm very good, thank you.
Welcome. It's great to have you. So tell us everything. Who is Big Mono?
Big Mono are a brand new band formed from the shells of two now defunct bands. So 3/4 of us used to be in a band called Godsized, and 1/4 of us used to be the singer in a band called the Mercy House. And yeah, that's who we are. We're a brand new rock band, and a little bit different than both those bands. We don't, if we wanted to carry on those two bands, we could. But so it's meant to be slightly different. But yeah.
Excellent. So you had your first release, which is a single 1,000 Times. Loved it.
Oh, cool.
Amazing, like full-on classic rock, but with modern twist and nice chunky riffs, just right up my street. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Really, the band that's what we're going for. Big chunky riffs, soaring, proper lead rock star vocals, and just trying to make hooky, hard hitting rock songs. I think it's important. That's one sort of distinction we wanted with this band, is we wanted it to be sort of loosely labeled as a rock band or a hard rock band, because it gives you loads of options where you can take it. You can get heavier, you can bring in acoustic elements, you can do a lot more with it when you don't sort of pigeonhole. It's a stoner rock band, it's a groove metal band, we just want it to be kind of a bit more general, and then that means we can be more creative, I guess.
You just want it to be you, really. Big Mono, that's
it. Yeah, that's it. That's absolutely it. There's really nothing too contrived about anything, really. It's the band's got good chemistry, and we just got in the jam rooms. Just the whole idea was just, let's see what happens.
How did it start? Tell us the story behind it.
Yeah, well, it started basically my old band, Godsized. I left that band. I was one of the original sort of formers of it back in 2005. I can't believe it. And I was in it for a long time, and I left in around 2013. And I'm glad they did, and they carried on without me, and had great success afterwards as well. But the band had kind of slowed down. I think I'm right in saying it was on hiatus. And a good friend of ours, who used to be our tour bus driver or tour van driver, Nigel, his wife got very sick. And so Gavin, our bass player in Godsized and bass player in Big Mono, said, I want to do a show at the Underworld. I want to do a show. It's all for charity. We do just Godsized, and we do it all different lineups of Godsized. So what do you think? Are you guys up for it? And he asked basically the last 6 members that had been in over the last 10 years. And everyone was up for it. Everyone loves Nigel. We just wanted to do it. So long story short, we did that gig. It was a great success, and it really sort of inspired a lot of us to want to jam together again. Some of us I personally hadn't played with those guys since 2013, and this was in 2018. So it was like, yeah, this feels good. This feels good to be jamming, being in a rehearsal room with you guys again. And yeah, let's see if we get this show done and out of the way, and then we'll just do some jamming and just see what comes of it. Just really sort of keep it light and loose. And we came up with some cool songs straight off the bat, and thought, well, this is really cool. So this was me, at this point, this was me, Gavin on bass, and Dan Cav on drums. We thought, this is really cool. So we tried out a few different singers, and that proved quite difficult. And around that time, the pandemic hit, and we were like, oh shit, this is like, so trying to jam with people, you weren't even allowed to jam with people, let alone trying to find someone new who would fit and see if the chemistry would work. And we went through a lot of different people, and it was quite staggered. It took a long time to get sorted. And in the end, it was all a bit fruitless, and we carried on for a while. And in the end, I thought, I don't know if this is ever going to get out of the jam room. I don't know if we're ever going to find the right person to front the band. We didn't really have a preconceived notion of who we wanted. They could be male or female. They could be quite aggressive vocals. It could be clean vocals. It just needed to just work in the room, and the chemistry, the writing chemistry had to be there. And I remember I was like, oh, what about there was this guy Drew? We used to play with the Mercy House a long time ago. Yeah, he was a really cool front man. I'll just see what he's up to. And I just fired him off an email, and then he was like, yeah, I'm up for it. I'll come down. And at the time he was living in London. And yeah, he came down to our rehearsal room, which is in like the arse end of nowhere in Hampshire. And it's just really, really out of the way on some like, you know, industrial estate, but that's what you need. You need somewhere you can make a loud noise and not be disturbed. And anyway, it was cool from the minute he walked in. He was, you know, we just thought, yeah, there's something about this guy, and yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It's been a good chemistry, and so that's how the band started. But the pandemic slowed everything down, as you can imagine, because like trying to be in a band around pandemic, I'm sure, was an absolute nightmare. But trying to start a band when you can't get in the same room as each other was a real problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're here now.
Yeah, that's you know, the important thing. We actually know Drew. I interviewed him fairly recently, a couple of months ago, with it, you know, about his solo stuff, and obviously the Mercy House had a release. So yeah, we're very familiar with him. I mean, I've known him personally for years as well.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
All I can do is apologise, and please don't base any sort of bad things that Drew may have done to you in the past. Please don't.
Oh, no, he's always been absolutely perfectly lovely to me.
I'm sure. I'm joking.
No, he's absolute gent. He's a very peculiar. He has a very peculiar vocal, especially, you know, in the high end. So did you? You said you didn't have a set idea in terms of what you were looking for. You were just trying things out. And how do you feel about that? I mean, you know, his vocals are quite peculiar in terms of style, etc.
Yeah, I think he's got a really original voice, and that's one of the things I really like about Drew and what he brings to the band, because he doesn't sound like the music we made before, and the singer we Godsized had before. It's quite a different approach, and I think he comes with a quite unique set of influences because of the solo projects that he's got, and because of the solo projects that he's got, and he's really interested in a lot of indie stuff. He's really interested in Bowie. He's really interested in quite a unique set of influences, as well as all the classic rock stuff. I think it's really cool what he does, and he can do all of that classic rock cool stuff. He can sound like Scott Weiland. He can sound like Axl Rose. He can sound a bit like Lane Staley, but he's got his own thing. And I know with Drew, it means a lot to him to not sound too American.
Oh,
he really likes. Yeah, I know that's a big thing for him. I know he wants to sound
British.
I don't think. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think he wants. I know he strives for that. He wants to sound. He wants the band to sound and his vocals to sound like where he's from, and not be putting on an accent. And I think that's kind of cool.
Interesting. Very cool. Okay. Yeah. So you've released your first single, and what's the plan from there on? Will there be like an album, an EP, or?
Yeah. We've recorded an album. It's all been recorded.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's another thing. It was recorded in 2 goes, and it's an 8-track album. We didn't want to do too many. I love all those classic 70s albums, but there's like 8 or 9 tracks on an album, and they're all wicked. And that's kind of the whole vibe. And I think. So we recorded 4 songs, and we were originally going to do an EP. And then at some point we got together and said, no, we need to, let's make an album, but let's do this whole strategy of releasing singles one at a time. So that's what we're going to do. We've got the best of both worlds. We've got an album in the can ready to go when and it's the right time. But I think what we're going to focus on at the moment is single releases, probably 2 or 3 or 4, probably every 5 weeks or so, something like that. Because we're trying to grow a fan base, and so it's one of those things. You obviously you need stuff. You need stuff to give people. You need content. So I think it's kind of cool. And the thing is, we're coming out. We could release the album right now, release it tomorrow, but then when it's out, it's out. And if all you can do is think about what you want as a consumer of music. So it's like, okay, well, what would I want? I'd say, whoa, this is my new favorite band. Wow, I've got the album. I've listened to it all the time. It's great. Well, what else have you got? And it's like, oh, come back in a year and we might have another album. You know, and the fan base has wandered off. So I think you've got to keep on, keep on with content and drip feeding stuff now. And that's the strategy at the moment. But we just got to see what happens, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you have like a release date for the album yet?
Yeah, tentatively, I think we're talking March or April. So next year. So I don't think it's not going to be too long, but I think we just, like I said, we put this single out last Friday, 23rd of September. And then the next one will be out in 4 weeks, and then another one in 4 weeks or so. And I think so. I don't personally want to drag this out too long. I want, but I think, it's got to just feel right. And everything's got to be accompanied with a video and the whole thing, and obviously live gigs. That's the whole point of being a rock band.
I'm into that.
Yeah. I don't want to preempt a question.
There you go. Come on, tell us about the live band.
Well, that's there isn't one really, other than just this band will be a live band. I think it's that kind of band, and that's what it's all about for all of us. It's the only reason I want to be in a band, because it's relatively a pain in the arse for me to be in a rock band anyway. Because I live far away from the rest of the guys. I live in Germany.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, I'm based just about half an hour outside of Munich in southeast Germany. How did it happen?
Yes.
Yeah, how does it always happen? I met a girl. Yeah, it was on a tour. It was on a tour with my previous band about 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I met my now wife, and I live here, and I love it here. I absolutely love it here, and it feels home now, definitely here. But I think creatively, music-wise, my musical home is always going to be in the UK. So, and that's where my fellow musicians are. And this band is crazy geography-wise, not to wander too far off the point, but it's crazy geography-wise, because Drew now lives in Glasgow.
I know, yes.
Yeah. And Gavin and Dan now live in Guildford, in the sort of like Hampshire region, and then I live 700 miles away from London in South Germany. So it's like I was saying, it's sort of relatively a pain in the arse for me to do this, but I love it. And the whole point is I just want to get on stage and do gigs, and I love all that part of being in a band. I love all the parts that everyone moans about. I love just being in a van and drinking warm beer and looking out the window for like 12 hours a day. Like, where are we now? Oh, I love all that stuff.
Yeah, we know all about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is with, nowadays with technology and stuff like that, it really isn't a problem, because obviously, I mean, I've watched, it was like a program that was about the recording of the latest album of Bring Me the Horizon, and especially with the pandemic, people were scattered in different places and they all communicated, like, doing their bits and recording, communicated via Zoom, that kind of thing, and then sending it off. And that's how it is these days. You don't really need to be in the same country, like all the time. Obviously, you need to merge for rehearsals and when you tour and stuff like that. So. Yeah.
Well, yes and no, because I think with this band as well, and the way, we're coming from a very classic, old school approach, and quite Luddite as well. So I think the way we write some and some. So it will usually start with ideas being pinged back and forward to each other, but they're really only ever the shell of an idea. And the whole thing as well I love about being in the band, and I think the other guys would say the same, is the collaborative thing. Mm-hmm. Getting in a room with loud amps and the drummer really fucking going for it, and just like, you know, here's a riff, let's smash it out, let's pull it apart, let's try these different things with it, see what we can turn it into. And is it going to be something cool, or is it, no, we just throw it away? That's really the whole thing about how Big Mono writes. Really being in a room when we've got that chemistry and that vibe together, you can't get it any other way, really. I haven't found it. I really value that time being in a room with the guys and just loud amps, you know, just going for it and just jamming and seeing what happens. And yeah, I'm lucky. I think we're lucky like that, because I know a lot of bands don't have a chemistry as good as that. But if you put us guys in a room for a couple of hours, we'll come out with a decent song. It'll be all right. You know, we just go in with nothing. It'll be okay. You know, we'll jam something decent out. So
nice. Yeah, make magic, right? Make magic. So you guys are obviously seasoned musicians, and you come from different backgrounds, as you mentioned, you know, the 2 different bands and stuff. Mm-hmm. How does it feel to start a new band, you know, after on the back of all of your experience and an ever-changing industry, and especially obviously the way they're mentioning the pandemic and everything that came with it?
Yeah, I mean, everything's totally different. I mean, like I said before, personally, when I started Godsized in 2005, we were talking about MySpace, and you know, that was a big deal. You know, MySpace was a thing, and that was how you broke a band. It's so true, isn't it? You know, I'm glad you're with me on that. And you know what the hell I'm talking about. And you know how many plays you got on the MySpace player and things like that. And it was just so different, and selling CDs at gigs, and, you know, everything is different. The whole thing's changed. And on one hand, it's great to have a background, because you've got like a core of people who used to like your band or bands before, and I think they're very interested in what you're doing now, and that's great. So it's not like starting at the very beginning, but it's not much further on than that, because there's inevitably going to be people who just want you to carry on with your old band, and and people always want more, and they want to know what's going on, what's happening next. And so it's exciting to be starting a new band now, but also a little bit like, oh, what do we do now? What's next? Does anyone know anybody who knows anything about this? You know, please find someone to help us. You know, that sort of thing. But I think it's all done with the most pure intentions, like the purest of intentions, really, because, like I said before, because of where we're all based, we have to really want to do this. It's not, if we all lived in the same town and it was just like a hobby, like, you know, there's loads of, like, you know, dad bands who get the band back together, you know, after they, you know, become a father or whatever, and then they go and it's Wednesday night in the rehearsal room, and that's their thing, and that's cool. I really look, you know, that's cool. But that's not this, and this requires a lot more planning and organisation. And if we didn't care about it and didn't want to do it and didn't, you know, weren't really completely kind of, I don't know what the word is, completely sort of absorbed in that collaborative process with each other, then, you know, it would have just fallen apart. So especially with, you know, trying to keep something like that, a brand new project with nothing going on, without a complete band going into the pandemic, you know, I think if we were in it for any other reason than just the right reasons, it would have just fallen apart. So yeah.
How far do you want to go with it?
I just want to put one foot in front of the other and just see what happens. I'm very happy to just be completely take things seriously, but just take things seriously with like a smile on my face, and just see what happens. I'm really interested to see what could happen, and it doesn't, to me everything is like a bonus. Like if I do a gig and there's 100 people there in a sweaty rock club, I love it. I'm gonna love that. And if it never gets more than that, that's fucking cool. I love that. I love those gigs. We've done big gigs, and we've supported decent sized artists to thousands of people, and played Hammersmith Apollo and places like that. And it's great to do a gig like that, and to be on a big stage like that and go, wow, or I'm a Download Festival, look, wow, this is great. But also, you just can't beat the buzz of 200 people in a sweaty rock venue who are there and really in the moment with you. I mean, that's some energy you can't replicate. I love that. So, if that's all, if that's the highlight, then I'm okay with that. It's cool.
And we're even allowed to hug again now. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, see.
Well, which bands did you support? I assume it was with Godsized.
Yeah, with Godsized, we were very lucky. The biggest band that we supported there was Black Label Society.
Oh wow, excellent.
Yeah, it was great, and we were with them for 6 weeks all across UK and Europe.
Awesome.
And it was great. I mean, we were a band without a record deal, without an agent, and we just sort of lucked our way into, via a contact that we knew, getting a copy of our EP. It wasn't even an album, to Zach Wilde, and he gave it to his son Jesse and said, listen to this. If he likes it, then I'll take it seriously. And he liked it, and that got the ball rolling. Yeah,
it
was that organic, really. Yeah.
This is quality checker. I think
he was about 15 at the time as well. But yeah, he thought it was okay. So we got the gear. Yeah, it's great, and that was amazing. It was just like to be out on the road. At that point, the band had never done anything that big, and especially to crowds like that. And we could have fallen on our faces there. And also, like, looking back, I just think, what were we doing? Because like the whole thing was, I won't go into it, but it was badly organised, shall we say. Okay. And we were just flying by the seat of our pants at every gig. We didn't know, when we got to Europe, we didn't know where we were going to sleep. We didn't know if we were going to have enough money for the van to keep it going. But we worked it out, and we came back, with profit, and we had some great support. We had an endorsement with Jägermeister at the time, and they helped us out with some merch, and so that was really cool. But yeah, that was the big one. But we supported loads of cool bands. We went out with Monster Magnet for a while. We did some dates with Life of Agony, and we played some really cool festivals as well. It came to a point where we were able to play festivals in Germany in particular, but Germany and France, and we were booking headline shows in some of these countries as well. It was great. We were really doing that Black Label tour allowed us to build a European fan base, which was pretty amazing. It was great. And some of the venues, like I said before, playing Hammersmith Apollo, it's like dream come true.
Yeah,
absolute dream come true. It was just like 5,500 people, and the cool thing was the bands like Godsized and Black Label were pretty good matching bands, so their crowd dug us. And it might not have been that way, because you get those sort of bands with a rabid fan base, and like an Iron Maiden kind of Iron Maiden fans, they want to see Iron Maiden, they don't care who the support act is, they're just like, or Metallica, you're supporting Metallica, I'm sure that's got to be hard sometimes, but yeah, and Black Label, those guys, all of their fans turn up and they've got their colours on and the whole thing. But yeah, that was good. We were really lucky with that band.
What is the most outrageous story you have about those times?
Oh, well, I'm not sure I can tell you the most outrageous one.
Oh, go on, we love it.
That whole tour, we sort of dubbed it like the disaster tour, because it was the greatest time of our lives, but also it was just like a nightmare. Like, we got pulled over, we blew tires out in the middle. So we played like the gig of our lives in Warsaw, in Poland, and then 2 hours later, we just blew our back tire out. Took the brake cable out of the van as well. It was snowy. We were just really, because it was like in February, and it was snowy out and really icy, and we were just lucky we didn't die then. And then so we got that going. We got like taken. They picked the van up and towed it to this weird hotel where it was just like dead animals and stuff all over the walls, like it's some hunting lodge thing, but like a hunting lodge on steroids. It was like really insane, the amount of like dead carcasses are hanging on the wall. And then we got to, so we were all like sharing rooms while we were waiting for our van to be repaired the next day. And then, so we got to we were all sharing rooms, and I remember I was sharing a room with Gavin, and I went into the bathroom and turned on the sink because I really needed a drink, and the water was coming out brown. I was like, oh, what is going on? Where are we? And the next day we got the van up and rolling, and we drove, and I think we had to drive to Prague the next day. And then the police pulled us over. I can't remember what the problem was with our van, but the police pulled us over and basically wanted a bribe to let us carry on again. So it's just,
oh man,
it was just stuff like that all the time. Yeah, it was crazy, but yeah, it was good. That was fun. That was pretty
life
cool.
on the road. It's all
yeah.
See,
yeah,
now you're here and you can tell me that story. You see?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's all cool, you know.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games, and
yeah.
I mean, let's go back to more serious, you know, let's go back on track in terms of the songwriting and the writing process in general. I mean, the track, like I said, personally, I absolutely loved it. There are so many influences in there. There's a lot of prog, there's a lot of stoner rock, there's, you know, obviously, as we mentioned, the, you know, different like soaring vocals and things like that. How is the writing process in terms, how did you put it together, and what sort of influences do you have?
Yeah, well, writing wise, it usually starts out where I will come out of a riff and a chord change. That's kind of the nucleus. So I'll just be sitting around and I'll be jamming at home on my own. I'll come up with a riff and some chords that I think you can hang a melody over. And then the way I really like to do it is then that's it. I don't want to take it too far. I don't want to do a demo of it. I don't want to do a demo with drums and a bass line that I'll program on a computer, because I want the rest of the band to do their thing with it, and I don't want to give them a preconceived notion of like how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So then I will just maybe sometimes just like have an acoustic guitar out and just do a little voice note and send it around and just say, well, do you think this is okay? Yeah, okay, let's go into the jam room. So we go into the rehearsal room. And right, yeah, this is how it goes, Gavin, bit something like this, you know, do what you want. And then we just go for it. And then so everything is up for grabs. It's like, well, what about if you change that bit there? What about if you sped this bit up? What about, I'm not sure about those chords. Have you got anything else? Oh yeah, what about if we put this on the end? So it's really a collaborative effort. And sometimes we rehearse like, well, we jam like that, and Drew's there. And sometimes logistically he's not there. So, but even if Drew's in the room, he'll just jump on the mic and start singing melodies straight away. Or he'll always have like a pad and notepaper, and he'll be sitting on the sofa in the jam room writing things down. And very often he'll say, change that bit. What about if we did this bit like this? You know, how about if this moved to there? Or I'm not sure about that part. So just everybody has their hands on it. So I think really, even though the songs usually start with something that I've been working on, you can only ever sort of describe it as a 25% each way thing, because everybody's doing their thing with it. Everybody's, you know, and I love that. I really love that. And influence-wise, all I can talk about, but I think everyone's got their own thing. And I think that's the cool thing about this band, is that everyone's coming from a slightly different angle. I really, these days, don't really listen to I'm getting better, but at the moment, I'm not really listening to anything past about 1977. So I just like totally 70s rock. so all of that stuff, all of the cool stuff, all of like the classic cliche bands like Sabbath and Zeppelin, and some of the more obscure things like Cactus or Mountain or James Gang, stuff like that. I love all that stuff. But I also come at it from bands like Corrosion of Conformity or Down. I mean, I'm a massive Corrosion of Conformity fan. So I love them. Oh yeah, cool, nice. I mean, it's just that they're probably one of the most important bands to me ever, for me. So I just love them. I just love anything Jerry Cantrell does. So I'm coming from it, all of that stuff, really.
I've seen Jerry Cantrell recently. It was mind blowing. Absolutely, the solo stuff is amazing, and he's got new singers. Who was it? He was singing for a band that I can't quite think the name of right now, but his vocals, I don't know if you've checked him out if you haven't, out in Radio. The Dillinger Escape Plan, that's who he was, the lead singer.
Oh, really? And now he's singing with you again? Wow.
Yeah,
interesting.
He has an amazing, is completely different from Lane, but in a way you don't want to, the Cantrell solo stuff is not Alice in Chains, because you've got Alice in Chains anyway. But honestly, mind-blowing. One of the best gigs I've been to be honest.
Nice. So definitely.
I felt really blessed to be there.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, nice. That's all you want from a gig, isn't it? To come away feeling like that.
Oh, magical. Absolutely. So
I think Jerry Cantrell doesn't get any of the credit. I know everyone talks about Jerry Cantrell, but like as a songwriter, I think he's one of the best songwriters in the last 30 years, 40 years. I think he's amazing. Amazing. That Boggy Depot first solo album, I just listen to it weekly. I just can't not listen to it. I just love it. I just think it's really brilliant. So that's
funny. I've been consuming it recently.
So. Yeah. Cool. It's really cool.
So if there was a band that you would envision your band, would be a right fit in terms of support, who would that be?
I'd love to do a Corrosion Conformity support slot. I'd love that. I think the cool thing about this band is that I think we could appeal to a few different audiences. I can imagine us going out with people like COC. I could imagine us doing, supporting some of the stoner bands. I can imagine us doing that stuff because all of those elements are there. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's all there, and it's all in our sort of musical DNA from the four of us as well. And then I could see us doing stuff with more current bands with a classic kind of leaning. Someone like Rival Sons, I could imagine us doing something like that. That I think there's a mix between the two. I think there's a lot of open thing. I could imagine this band going out and touring with Black Label Society again. I mean, I would have to be very lucky for that, lightning to strike twice, but I think it could work. I think it could work.
That knows you now, so there you go.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah, I could see that working, but I can imagine it just going out with some different rock genre bands as well. So I think that's the cool thing. I think that's we definitely try not to pigeonhole ourselves too much, but also it's just going to sound like what it sounds like. There's no sort of contrived sort of attitude about, well, I'm not sure that riff is us. It's just like let's is it cool? Do you think it's cool? Okay, let's go.
You're open to experimenting and just excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy before we got Drew in the band because we went between singers. Like we were auditioning singers for ages. We went for quite a period without a singer, and all of the songs started to sound like Mastodon because we had no singers. So we just. I mean, I love Mastodon, absolutely. But we just plugged all the gaps, so there was no vocals. We were like, okay, let's put another riff in. Oh, I'll put a guitar solo in. Oh yeah, I'm going to put a cool drum fill in. We're just filling all the gaps, and at some point we were like, "There's no room to sing on these songs. We're going to have to strip it all back again."
The worst, singer's nightmare.
Yeah.
Well, we're running out of time, so I just want to conclude with, we need some live dates. So can you, can you give us a timeline
at the moment not, but it's in the works. It's in the works, and rest assured, as soon as that stuff is announced, we're going to be spamming the hell out of our Facebook and Instagram page. Everyone's going to know about it. Let's put it that way. But at the moment, yeah, it's all in the works. But this is a band that's going to play live a lot, and this is a band that really will thrive in that arena. I'm sure. You know, it's all of this, the modern stuff, the Facebook, the Twitter, the strategies about when to release things. That's not our skill set. This is all stuff that, you know, this band is going to be like dangerous live. I just know it. So it's I can't wait to get out there and do it. So all of those, yeah. When the dates are booked, they'll be everywhere.
Are you planning, obviously the UK, I assume? What about Europe? Do you feel, how's the situation with Brexit? The fact that you live there, do you think it gives an advantage in that sense? Because, you know,
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I won't need a visa, but yeah, I think so. I think it should be. I think it would be cool. I mean, it's really sad that, to me, it's such a sad situation and such a step backwards, in my personal opinion. And I think I heard some sort of horrible fact that in this last festival season in Europe, there are 50% less bands being booked from the UK for European festivals than previous years. And just what a terrible shame for British music.
Absolutely.
You know, just so sad. Yeah.
And vice versa, it's difficult for them.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. So, you know, I hope it won't get in the way of us playing here, but, you know. Just
get a double of everything and keep it in your heart.
Yeah. I was even thinking about that. I was thinking, you know, we're just going to have to get like 2 backlines and just have some here and some over there, you know, and it's just problem solved, really. But
exactly, then they can come on holiday and then you're off.
Exactly. Yeah, I like it.
Done.
Yeah, strategy.
Strategy. Anyway, we are really running out of time. So before we get cut off, I just want to thank you very much for being with us today. We are.
Thank you. Pleasure's all mine.
Yeah, and it was great meeting you, and thank you for being on MTTV for MetalTalk. And you know, we are looking forward to catching you live, especially, and hearing more. Yeah, so keep up with that.
Awesome. Yeah. So thanks ever so much for the opportunity, and the pleasure's all mine.
Thank you. Best of luck with it.
Thanks ever so much. See you soon.
Take care. Bye.